Good morning. This is Ean Garrett, and I am the Chief Innovation Officer of Infinite Day Institute. The time is roughly after 11 a.m. Central Time in the United States. Happy 4th of July to everyone here in the United States of America. This is week 4, and our team members for the lean process are Alita Karchner, Walter Battle, Sharon Hansen, and of course myself. The number of interviews that we have conducted this week are 8, with a total of 38 interviews. And our mission is to design and finance social impact systems. We've had a few noteworthy interviews this week. One involved a banking institution, and we gained some headway in the banking sector, specifically with the Community Reinvestment Act. As many of you in the social impact sector already know, Goldman Sachs did successfully receive CRA certification or points for the social impact bond that they conducted in 2012 with recidivism in New York City. And so that is a case of banks actually receiving CRA credit for making these type of innovative and community-based loans dealing with the social impact bonds as well as the micro social impact bond model. We've seen that banking institutions are willing to make some of these smaller loans in increments of maybe $50,000 to $100,000, and when you bring multiple of these banks together, that's where you stand an opportunity to really make an impact and to get the banking sector on board. And so good news this week from the banking sector. Now, regarding venture capital and angel investors, we spoke to more VCs and angel investors this week, and what we found is that venture capitalists and angel investors are actually very interested in the particular model and the concept. They are interested in social impact investing. They just want to know whether or not it makes economic sense in order to get involved. We've also seen that venture capitalists, very much so like other investors that we've talked about during previous podcasts, investors want to get involved in green energy and sustainable businesses. But what they find is that normally these businesses don't make economical sense. They really want to get involved. They really want the numbers to make sense, but it just so happens that when they come through the door and they're pitching their ideas and their concepts, they're not making economical sense. Prime example, we're involved with an organization that essentially is involved in creating solar panels. Now, with that being said, you can take this organization, they can slap solar panels up on the roofs of 10 houses. They can go inside those houses and retrofit those houses in order to make them up to date and energy efficient. And if you only do 10 houses, it's going to take a while for any investors to be able to receive any return on those houses, being that they're net zero, that the energy, the excess energy is going back and being sold to the utility companies, the energy that goes back to the grid. And so it would still take a while for investors to be able to make a return on that. But if you mix some of those investments like green energy with low income housing or other development opportunities, then that's where you stand to see a profit. Also, we know that philanthropists who are already spending a certain amount of finances in a particular sector, that these organizations essentially are interested, and they're already doing work in these particular areas, and on top of that, they are willing to pay a premium to see outcomes in some of these areas. And so we definitely are interested in the venture capital sector and the angel investing sector, and actually we'll go in depth about that a little bit more. So this year, one of the things that we've been focusing on are really looking at the financial sectors and seeing where we fit within that particular paradigm. If you look to the right side of the screen, this week what has changed is our customer segments. Banking institutions are extremely promising with the Community Reinvestment Act, and so banking institutions have gone up a little bit higher on our customer segment scale. Angel investors and venture capital, once again, we see that they are extremely important, and in a second we'll talk about that more as well. Service providers, we've changed service providers to we changed that from the title of nonprofits. So nonprofits has changed to service providers, and the reason why we've changed nonprofits to service providers is because we don't want to exclude hybrid organizations, social enterprises, those that actually are making profit as well. Now we're going to talk about angel investments, and we're also going to talk about venture capital. And so right now around the country, as far as 2014 statistics are concerned, the average angel investment is about $800,000. By region, you can see where the majority of the angel investing is going on around the country. 19.8% of it's going on in California with Silicon Valley. Texas, you see a lot of innovation going on there. One of the surprises is the Great Lake region, where there's 13% of the deals that are going on there. You can see a lot of that as Detroit tries to turn around their economy. They do a lot of social impact investing there, a lot of other strategic initiatives there, also in Grand Rapids, Michigan. In the Great Plains, you hear a lot of individuals, entrepreneurs talking about how difficult it is in order to actually receive VC or angel investing capital or seed capital in the Great Plains, and you can see why. They only invest 4.1% in that area, and on top of that, it's a very conservative region. So what about venture capital investments? What we've seen in 2014 across the United States was that venture capital investments range from $2 million to about $1.2 million, and on average the deals were about $1.5 million. And so what we see is a chasm between average venture capital investments and the $800,000 average investments of angel investors. And we also see an opportunity in the midst of this divide between VC and angel investments. We see an opportunity for micro social impact bond investments to meet the needs of organizations who are doing social good, to be able to fund those endeavors and those initiatives through the utilization of the micro social impact bond. So what is our customer channel? We've seen that our customer channel in the past has been through direct sales, cold calling, in person, etc. But more recently, we've seen that it is extremely beneficial for our organization to have a website that is search engine optimized. Also, blogging and creating content has been something that we have seen that has been extremely useful for reaching our client base. Also, our value propositions. We are matchmakers between angel investors, venture capitalists, banking institutions, philanthropists, and those service organizations that are actually doing the work on the ground. We use a cross-sector approach. We actually bring intelligent individuals from across different sectors who normally wouldn't be in the room together to work on some of these social problems and to essentially address some of these societal ills. Also, we fill the gap between the median angel investment of $800,000 and the average venture capital investment of $1.5 million. We're able to fill that gap with our micro social impact bond investments. Also, we provide organizations and society with a social good. What is it that we found that our customers are excited about as far as our value proposition? Is that it makes good economic sense. It makes good economic sense to pay for outcomes and to pay for success, but to also fund initiatives that preventatively address societal issues and that save municipalities, save government, and save taxpayers ultimately dollars over the long haul. So what do we learn about our customer channel? we hypothesized that direct sales was king. We experimented with AdWords campaigns, blogging, cold calling, crowdfunding, and even door-to-door canvassing. And the results came back, and what we found was that our AdWords campaign, while it did drive some traffic to our website, it wasn't enough to validate the expenditure of that particular campaign. We've seen that the public isn't as knowledgeable generally about social impact bonds, and so there needs to be an educational piece which we provide through our consultations. Also, blogging, we saw that was effective. Our cold calling was effective. Crowdfunding has been effective in the past. What we've seen is that for some of these social issues, people have different feelings about different issues, and so just because they don't support one social issue doesn't necessarily mean they may not support another issue, such as the environment. And so really we've kind of seen that that's hit or miss. We think that with the United States recently approving crowdfunding as of February of 2015 for equity, we think that equity crowdfunding will completely change the game, and so we will keep crowdfunding as an alternative and an option for our clients and our customers. Door-to-door, what we found is that when we did the cost-benefit analysis, the amount of time that it takes to go door-to-door, and with safety concerns and other issues, we found that door-to-door is something that we'll kind of just put in our back pocket for right now, and it will be something that we will address at a later date. As far as our actions going forward, we will continue pursuing online and grassroots campaigns. This week's customer contacts will focus on secondary educational institutions, universities and colleges, early childhood, as we've seen social impact bonds already penetrate the early childhood sector. We'll see if there are opportunities for the micro social impact bond, and also more philanthropic organizations and institutions we will reach out to in the United States, in the UK, and also overseas and in China. If you or any other individual that you know may be interested in interviewing with us over the next few weeks, I can be contacted at Ean, that is EAN, at infinite8, the number 8, institute.com. Thank you guys for joining us this week. We look forward to reconnecting with you guys next week, and everyone in the United States, enjoy the 4th of July weekend. Talk to you guys soon.